Welcome to the next video in our little introduction to 8th grade language arts. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the SSR part of our class. If you remember, let me put all of this in context again for you. The first video we looked at flipped classrooms, the framework for my class this year. Then we looked at a daily schedule. We looked at how we're going to handle pieces of the chunks of time you have within that flipped classroom. We've also looked at keeping a writer's notebook and what's going to happen during notebook work, the 15 minutes every day. This little video is going to give you some ideas as to what's going to happen during the 15 minutes of silent reading every day and the kind of documentation I expect you to be keeping. So today's video is going to look at the independent reading program in class. Again, here's the objectives for my video. When you finish viewing this, you'll have an overview of the 3 parts of the SSR reading, how I expect your reading response log to be structured, a little bit of information about the quarterly book ad. You'll get more about this a little later. And finally, what your personal reading list is for. Remember to be an active reader of this video. Rewind it, review it, take good notes, and hopefully the objectives will help you. Okay, my independent reading program, or the SSR that we do, has 3 parts. It's keeping your reading log, it's presenting a quarterly book ad of what you read during SSR, and it's keeping a list of the books that you finish across the quarter. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is your reading response log. On my supply list were 3 composition notebooks. You already know that the first notebook is for your ISN. We set that up the first day. Your second notebook is for your writer's notebook. We looked at that the second day. And now your third notebook is for your reading response log. If you haven't already purchased all 3 of these, you need to do it because every day you don't have supplies is a day that you get a little further behind. Your reading response log doesn't leave my classroom. There's no need for it to go home. There'll be a bin at the front of the classroom for everybody to keep their logs in. You should get it the first thing when you come into my classroom every day, and you drop it back in the bin when you leave. Your reading response log is going to be divided into 4 distinct sections. The very first section is going to be your quarterly list of finished titles. Last year I used a separate paper form and it was a headache. I was constantly running new ones. Kids were losing them. They couldn't find them. They forgot to fill them in. They didn't remember where they put them. And so this year I've decided to fix that. We're just going to keep the list of finished titles in your reading response log with everything else. I don't remember what you did with Ms. Norval. Perhaps you kept it on a sheet of paper. Perhaps you kept it on a notebook. I don't remember. The slide shows you how you're going to set this up. This will probably be the first, 6 or 7 pages of your reading response log. It'll be a place for you to record what you finish. And actually it's out of order a little bit, but it is the second piece. It's in your reading response log. We're going to set the pages up. This is the portion of the reading program where I get to track what you actually finish reading each 9 weeks. You've done this before. This is nothing new. I'm going to be looking at the same thing. Are you reading a variety of genres? Are you reading a variety of topics? Are you reading both fiction and nonfiction? Are you reading a variety of authors? Are you challenging yourself with the level of difficulty that you're choosing to read independently? And how much are you finishing each 9 weeks? This is very similar to what you did with Ms. Norval last year. There will be a minimum number of pages per 9-week assignment, and if you want an A in this assignment, there'll be a minimum number of pages. And you're going to keep track of this on a chart that we'll set up in your reading response log. The second section of your reading response log. Okay, we're back to the reading response log. The first thing I want to do in your reading response log, other than track finished titles, is what you actually get read during SSR each day. So about the next 20 pages of your reading response log, you're going to draw a grid like the one in the picture. There's a place for you when you open up your book for SSR every day in my class. You're going to put the date, the title and the author of the book you're reading, the page that you're on when SSR begins. When SSR is over, you're going to record the page you're on at the end of the 15 minutes, And then you're going to close your SSR book, and we're going to move into the rest of the day. But this is an important log. It helps me keep track of how much you can read in 15 minutes, so it gives me an idea of pace. It also is where I'm going to begin my reading conferences with you. What are you reading? How's it going? Is this hard? Is this easy? How do you know? So this is very important information, and I'm going to expect you to maintain this log. The third part of your reading response log, and it's probably going to be the biggest section. This is section B, and I need to go back and fix that. It's actually section D. Are your reading letters. About bi-weekly, that's about every 2 weeks, you're going to be asked to write a letter about the book that you are currently reading. You're going to have a choice. So if it's bi-weekly, you will have 4 in a 9 weeks. Out of the 4, 3 can go to peers and 1 may come to me, or you can do 2 to me and 2 to peers. But I must see at least 1 every 9 weeks. You'll be given a detailed handout with some suggestions on how to handle this letter. But you're going to do these letters again in your reading response log. I'm going to try and keep all of your reading in that notebook, and then the notebook stays in my classroom. Your peers and I will write back to you in order to talk about and think about the books you are reading. And I'm hoping by writing letters it'll be a two-way dialogue and not just a response assignment. The fourth section, the last section of your reading response log, it'll be at the back of your book, is I would like you to keep a wish list. And this is a list of all the titles that you hear in book talks that you think you'd be interested in reading, or all the titles you come across. Maybe your friends are reading a book and you think it sounds really good. I want you to keep a wish list of books that you're interested in reading, so that when you finish a book, you don't have to wonder what you're going to go to next. I keep a wish list. I keep one on Amazon. I keep one in my own reading response log. So I'm not asking you to do anything that real world readers don't do. So we've talked about the first part of the independent reading program, keeping your reading response log and the sections that are going to be in it. We've talked about the second part of my independent reading program, which is maintaining a list of finished books. The third part of my independent reading program is a book talk. Now, the first 9 weeks, I'm going to be taking care of these for you to give you a chance to get an idea of the expectations and the possibilities for your own. I'm going to be using book talks of my own. I'm going to be doing using book talks that other students have created. And I'm going to be just doing book talks that are available on YouTube. But book talks are going to be done every day for the first 3 or so minutes at the beginning of SSR. Book talks never last more than 3 or 4 minutes. 5 minutes is a really long book talk. The purpose behind a book talk is for you to be able to sell a book you've just read to your peers. There's a lot of great books out there, and part of my role as your reading teacher is to keep feeding you lots and lots of possibilities. The books on the first covers that you see on the slide are 3 book talks I'm going to be doing right away this year. Codename Verity, which is an amazing book. I just finished it. Winter Girls by Lori Halsey Anderson, another amazing book I finished last year. And American Born Chinese, which is a graphic novel. And these are in my library. But anyway, the purpose of these book talks is to sell a book you've read. I'm going to model this for you about the first 9 weeks, so you can pay attention to some possibilities for your own assignment. And at the beginning of the second 9 weeks, you'll get a very specific handout for how to do these book talks. So, let me summarize. This is a quick video. My independent reading program, or my SSR reading, has 3 parts. It has keeping a reading response log, in which you record how much you read during SSR and responses to the books you've read during SSR. The second piece is keeping a list of all the books you finish in the 9 weeks time. And the third part is creating a book talk for something you've read during SSR to share with your peers. Remember to be an active viewer of this video. Pause it when you need to, rewind it when you need to, review the whole thing if you need to clarify it as the big picture. Remember that you're responsible for WSQ, taking good notes on the right-hand page. doing a summary on the left-hand page opposite, and writing a question to share in class. We'll share your WSQ in class, and we'll do some setting up of your reading